Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Jamaican part-time policeman arrested by ICE. Rising tensions in public transport as Todd accuses JUTC of unauthorized expansion into private bus routes. And later in sports, Jamaica Olympic Association election set for August 13. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carrie Simpson. Here are the details. A Jamaican man working as a part-time police officer in the United States has been arrested by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE for allegedly violating immigration laws. John Luke Evans, who was serving as a reserve officer in Old Orchard Beach, Maine, was taken into custody on Friday in the town of Biddeford. ICE claims Evans was in the country illegally and had overstayed his visa after entering through Miami International Airport on September 24, 2023. He was due to leave on October 1 but reportedly failed to do so. ICE says his immigration status came to light after Evans attempted to purchase a firearm for his police duties. The agency has criticized the Old Orchard Police Department for allegedly hiring someone not legally authorized to work. However, the Old Orchard Beach Police are pushing back. They say Evans was cleared by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and was hired in May 2025 for summer duty after passing all required background and medical checks. The main suspect in the fatal chopping of a 13-year-old girl is in custody. His identity is being withheld pending charges. The 13-year-old was attacked by a man who attempted to rape her in her community in Whitehall in Negril. The incident happened Monday afternoon. Now, TVJ News understands that the man tried forcing the teen into a house, but she refused. He then began inflicting chop wounds all over her body. She was rushed to the hospital by police. As Jamaicans prepare to go to the polls, the pressure is mounting on both major political parties to unveil their manifestos. Business leaders and civil society advocates are insisting that voters deserve more than just promises. O'Shane Masters reports.
As the nation edges closer to the polls, leading voices from Jamaica's business and civic sectors are intensifying calls for both major political parties to promptly release their manifestos. President of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, Catherine Silvera, stressed that voters deserve a clear roadmap from both parties on how they intend to drive national progress.
A lot of what ends up in these manifestos require money and funding coming out of the public purse, right? And so these promises can be made and you can hype people up, but can they realistically be part of the performance of the party once they're in power?
Professor Anna Perkins, co-chair of the Advocates Network, urged political parties to go a step further by detailing the cost of their promises.
We need to start seeing some manifestos from both political parties. I mean, the current government is certainly has 10 years in their belt of showing us something, but the opposition, I think, needs to come out with their mandate or their manifesto. I'd like to see it from both. From the manufacturing sector, we want to see what are their proposals on human capital and skills development, and the incentives for trade, export, and industrial growth.
Both ladies were guests on Beyond the Headlines yesterday. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
The People's National Party's standard bearer for Central Manchester, Donovan Mitchell, is distancing himself and the party from the destruction of billboards for sitting MP Rhoda Moore Crawford. In a video widely being circulated on social media, two of Ms. Crawford's billboards were being set ablaze. The person recording the video could be heard saying, "So we are going to blaze on out when we take over." We put the issue to Mr. Mitchell.
That is not the PMP's style of campaigning. That is not Donovan's style of campaigning. We have to lift the standard of the campaign. We're not going back to the old days of this political intimidation where people become afraid. This is not what Jamaica needs at this time. So I'm calling on the persons who are purportedly be my supporters to desist from doing so. We will lift the standard of the campaign with decency, discipline, and decorum.
Politically struggling, desperate and uninspired is how member of the JLP's Communication Task Force, Senator Marlon Morgan, has described the People's National Party's proposal to extend the school day and to have additional classes for children who need it. Details in this report.
Less than 48 hours after General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dane Campbell, reiterated the PNP's proposal to extend the school day by 2 hours, Communication Task Force Senator for the JLP, Marlon Morgan, hit back.
The politically struggling, desperate and uninspiring PNP is doing everything in its power to garner attention and resonate with the electorate as an alternative worth considering. Like several other PNP policy proposals, the suggested extension of the school day by 2 hours constitute a proposal that is neither well thought out, coherent, cogent, practical, nor credible.
He says the government's approach to improving educational outcomes when compared to the policies proposed by the PNP has nothing in common.
As the government has demonstrated with its approach to crime management, the most reliable and effective way to ensure and secure the vast improvements in education outcomes that we all desire is to properly assess the situation, devise fit-for-purpose solutions, and do several things simultaneously. This is precisely what the government has done and remains committed to as it relates to education.
In the meantime, Mr. Morgan says with the significant strides being made through the Education Oversight Committee, ETOC, the government remains focused.
Instead of focusing on quantity by merely extending the school day, the government is focused on quality in terms of transformation and specially devised and targeted interventions in education.
Nakinski Robinson, TVJ News.
The Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs is getting ready to launch a digital portal to improve public access to Jamaica's laws. Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs Marlene Malahoo Fort shared details on TVJ's Smile Jamaica morning program Tuesday. With the click of a button, Jamaicans here and abroad can now access the country's laws among other legal documentation online. This through the Jamaica Legal Information Portal JLIP. The initiative is spearheaded by the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. According to Minister Marlene Malahoo Fort, the portal has advanced search functionalities and expanded access to laws in various formats. Persons can also access Jamaica Gazette publications and key judicial and legislative developments.
This is the digital age, and access to the law has been very difficult over the years. So now we will have a website, a one-stop shop, where you can find everything, the annual acts of parliaments. Laws come in a hierarchy, so at the highest level is the constitution, and then you have the acts of parliament, you have the regulations, you have orders, you have notices. And anything that is intended to have legal effect has to be gazetted. So we are putting on the website all of the laws, all of the gazette.
That's all laws as far back as 1962. The next phase will see the inclusion of laws dating back to the 17th century. Wayne Robertson is Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
It was a very intense process, but we projectized the approach to achieve results. So we had to properly scope the project. We had to ensure that it's time-bound. So all the deliverables were based on time. The contract was effectively managed, and there was a partnership between the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, the PIOJ, which is the Planning Institute of Jamaica, which I really must commend, and JAMPRO.
But who stands to benefit the most from this portal?
Just about everyone, not just our judges, not just the attorneys, but members of the public. And I tell you that this is something that I envisioned a long time ago in my previous professional life, just having the laws accessible. When I served on the bench, those were times when we were not really in the digital age, and the printed laws were not readily available. But just imagine now that we are on the digital highway and in the digital age. It's just amazing that at the touch of your finger, one click, and you can find all the laws available.
In the meantime, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Wayne Robertson, is assuring the public that the portal is user-friendly.
We have a very demanding public.
Yes.
And we are very careful to ensure that it is user-friendly because we have to think about the man in the street. We're not talking about judges now and attorneys in general. We're talking about the man who sells fish down the market and want to say, what but this law, what is...
That's right.
You know,
So
minimum mandatory.
The test phase was very
What is mandatory? And you can ask AI, the chatbot we have online, it's called Garvey. So even if your English is not perfect,
yes,
Garvey will realize what you're asking.
There is growing tension in the public transport sector as the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services TODS is raising serious concerns over what it calls the unauthorized expansion of the JUTC into routes traditionally operated by private bus owners. Sandy Williams reports.
TODS President Egerton Newman is sounding the alarm over JUTC buses now operating on routes such as Linstead to Clarendon and Port Antonio to Kingston, areas that fall outside the JUTC's designated Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region KMTR license.
They seem like they can do anything, they can break the law because they make the laws. We don't think the JUTC but should be all over the world, all over the country. But again, they put the laws in place, we can't do anything. But I'm saying to the government, let's do the right thing and move the people the right way. If you had a license to go across Jamaica, why do you have a license for KMTR? Why didn't have a license for Jamaica? Right, for all spaces in Jamaica. We are having a problem with that.
TODS is now demanding an urgent sit-down with the government to address what it sees as a breach of established transport licensing procedures.
All the regulations have to stand. Normally, when we apply for a license from St. Mary to Kingston, it has to be published in the Gazette, and anybody can come in and say, no, we have a license already, we can't put a bus here, but why JUTC can just put a bus anywhere they want to put it, and we must accept that. That is something we have to deal with.
The group says the issue is more than a licensing dispute. It's a matter of fairness, transparency, and respect for the rule of law in Jamaica's public transport system. TODS is now calling on the government to clarify the legal basis for JUTC's operations on routes outside its licensed zone. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Relief is coming for residents and staff at the Savannah Lamar Public General Hospital in Westmoreland as major expansion plans were unveiled recently. The proposed $1 billion project will address the trauma and space challenges the hospital has been ongoing. Kimberly Petty reports.
After years of being plagued by a lack of bed space and other critical resources, expansion plans have been announced for the Savannah Lamar Hospital. Construction is projected to commence late this year and completion set for 2027. But with an election pending, why now? Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton responded.
Well, it's not about now, because the truth is, yes, there is no time like the present, and better now than never. And I'm prepared to say that to anybody.
He further sought to dismiss suggestions that the unveiling of the project was politically calculated to favor the government.
So I hope we put to rest any perception that we hear because it's election season. I mean, the truth is, I wanted to vote for me when election comes. Don't make no bones about that. But I'm here speaking about the progress that you're making at the Savannah Lamar Hospital on behalf of the people of the parish of Westmoreland.
The hospital expansion is expected to unravel in 3 key phases spanning 2 years. Phase 1 will see the construction of a new accident and emergency unit. Phase 2, which is set to commence in early 2026, will see the development of a modern outpatient facility and diagnostic center, while the third phase, scheduled for mid-2026 to early 2027, will involve the expansion of the inpatient ward. He admitted that this project is long overdue.
Too little have been done to keep the institution and its role in line with the population expansion with the sick profile of the population, with the health risks in the parish.
He added that the government is playing catch up with the needs of the Jamaican people where health care is concerned.
If you take it decade by decade, we should have kept pace, either on controlling demand for health services or indeed providing more of what is required to serve on the demands that are there. And in fairness, we will say that we never did that. So we have to cut ribbons and we have to break ground. And the government has been resolute in that, and we make no apologies for that.
Kimberly Petty for TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It's now time for the Business Minute.
Jamaica Money Market Brokers, JMEA, realized net profit for the financial year ending March 31 of $3.08 billion, which more than doubled the prior year's performance. The company noted that operating revenue increased by 27%, totaling $6.63 billion, while net interest income rose sharply to $1.83 billion, up from $316 million. As for the financial position of the company, its asset base was stable at $310.9 billion, decreasing only by 1% over the period, while loans and notes receivables grew by over 17%. Investment securities fell by 8%, or $14.54 billion. Further afield, the U.S. Federal Reserve is expected to leave interest rates unchanged at its policy meeting this week, despite President Donald Trump's vocal push for lower borrowing costs. However, the meeting could see a rare dissent, with one or possibly two Federal Reserve governors advocating for rate cuts. While some policymakers may support easing, the majority remain cautious, fearing that Trump's tariffs could undermine progress in bringing inflation down to the Fed's 2% target. For now, concerns about inflation outweigh any immediate worries about the labor market. For the Business Minute, I'm Shane Masters.
Time now for the top stories from around the world.
In the region, in Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissesa has defended the decision of her 3-month-old coalition government to institute a state of emergency. According to Mrs. Persad-Bissesa, the measure is needed to deal with a crime syndicate that has targeted senior members of the judiciary and the government. Parliament has been on recess after it met in an extraordinary sitting to debate a 3-month extension of the SOE that was first implemented on July 18.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.